like countdown. So it was bothering me. Welcome. It is Tuesday. Normally Monday, things
Yeah,
happen, but Kevin Peterson is here. We got him live. And Mr. Peterson, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Mr. J?
Life is good. Life is good. Home of the Players Championship right now, so I'm
Oh
a little
yeah.
jealous. But
Yeah, well, I won't be here. I'll be leaving, so don't worry. It's all good.
leaving.
Yeah, I gotta go to Denver. I gotta go to a funeral.
Go stalk Kevin on Instagram, Kevin W. Peterson. It's got incredible content. We actually have a question, I think, that people saw your Instagram. Family coaching, chronicope.us, free resources, everything as you see on the bottom. This is not every time you log on, they're not going to suck your credit card dry. But if you want family coaching, chronicope.us, and there's a Chronic Hope Facebook page, private, families talking openly. It's not going to be downloaded with all the spam and robots and marketers. So, incredible Facebook group. Reach out to us if you want in on that. So,
Thank you.
uh, wow, Chronic Hope's got too much going on, but
Yeah.
but every time we get Kevin for 30 minutes or so every week, so we count our blessings. So let's get right into it. Are you ready?
Yeah. Hit me, baby. What do you got? I'm ready. Let's fire it up.
Jesus Christ. All right. How would you suggest I begin my recovery without my family finding out my life is in shambles and I have no money for treatment or therapy?
Great question. Great question. Simple and straightforward, and it's exactly how I started. I did not go to treatment. I did not have a lot of resources. I actually lived in I lived in a flop house. I lived in my fraternity for the summer for $400 for 3 months, and I went to AA meetings. That's how I started my recovery. I literally just grabbed on to the nearest group of people that were doing the sober thing, and I was like, "Help! I need help," and and that's what I did. That's how I found help. You don't have to go to fancy treatment. You don't have to spend a lot of money. I didn't have any money, and they took care of me. What you have to learn how to do, and this is the most important thing I've ever had to do in recovery from day one to day 32 years, almost 32 years, I had to learn how to ask for help. And that's the answer to your question is show up and ask for help and don't be shy. Say, I don't, I need a ride. When people are like, hey, we're all going out to dinner, say, I don't have any money. I don't have a job. And they'll take care of you. Don't be. It's okay. Don't worry about it. People, you know what? You know what people did? They said, Kevin, we're going to take you to dinner, and here's the only thing we ask: that when you're in a position to return the favor, you return the favor. You take people to dinner when you can take people to dinner. So when I notice that the group is going to dinner or we're hanging out or doing whatever, what I turn around and say is, hey, when I see somebody on the fringe, I'm like, hey, are you not going because you can't afford it? They're like, yeah. I'm like, I got you. Come on, let's go. I don't let people say no because they don't have money in their pocket. I'm like, come on, let's go. That's what they did for me. You want to make sure people feel like they're part of the group. That's the answer to the question.
Amen. Pick up that heavy phone, ask for help. But, as well, I was with a group of guys that did the exact same thing. I couldn't afford anything. And what I think is really cool that I still do to this day, because I'm part of that group that's giving back, which makes me feel 10 times better than him, is we kind of don't make a big deal about it. You never know who in the group is actually even paying for it. It's not like I got this guy or something, which I always thought is really, really cool. So it eliminates that whole, you just never know. It's not like just come show up. We tell everyone, even if you can't afford it, magically food will appear. So don't worry about it.
It's not, not having money is not a reason not to go. We got you covered. We always got you covered. Don't worry about it. It's never an issue. But that's not how we roll. We're not those kind of people. So
Amen.
Yeah.
I've watched your stuff online, Kevin. Thank you. My question is about my 23-year-old son. He went to treatment for meth and pills. He started drinking again and does not see a problem. Is it? She
Well,
basically is wanting to say it's the age old meth and pills are my problem. Drinking was never my problem. Here's a mom reaching out saying, is this a problem?
so here's the answer to that question. In my estimation, yes, it is. Now, here's the thing, Mom, it's not your problem, it's his problem. So it's nothing you need to really get involved in, unless he's living under your roof, because so here's the deal. If you're financially supporting him or he's living under your roof or both, you have the right to say, in my house, it's my rules. In my house, the rules are no drugs, no alcohol, period. So I think it's great that you've gone to treatment and you've gotten rid of meth and pills. But in my house, that also means sober means no alcohol as well. If you want to drink, that's fine. You just can't take my money and take my stuff and live in my house. But if you want to drink, that's great. You just need to go do that and live somewhere else and live off somebody else's dime. I respect your choices as an adult. You're 23 years old. It doesn't have to be a fight, and it doesn't have to be a shame-based statement. It doesn't have to be a thing. Respect his choices as a 23-year-old man. That's really what it comes down to. It's nothing you have to get caught up in. I really appreciate the fact that you watch and that you like what we're doing here. I really appreciate that. And that's the way to handle it is you can say, oh, hey, that's your call, not mine. It's your life. It's your gig. However, in order to enjoy the benefits of living under my roof or taking advantage of my beneficiary, that comes with these regulations. So I think I've repeated myself 3 or 4 times there. So,
Must have been needed to say 3 times. So,
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. We're just firing right through this. I love this. My son is required to do IOP due to a drug arrest. He has no desire to stop using. He keeps failing drug tests, but IOP isn't reporting failed tests to court. Help. I thought this was an opportunity. Ultimately, there was this, thought that the court thought the arrest would, put some sense, drive you sober, nudge from the judge. But it doesn't seem like, in my opinion, like this mom is saying, no one's really helping.
So that's interesting. So IOP due to drug arrest has isn't failed test and not so. What I would do, I would say I would call the people that are running the IOP, and I would just say, hey, I don't understand. Why are you not reporting this to his probation officer? Or why aren't you reporting this? What's the point? Now again. If he's living under your roof or he's taking advantage, of your benefiting him financially, I would say, hey, in my house, my rules are that if I'm paying for this and you're doing things my way, then, that comes with accountability, and accountability is if you're failing the drug test, then that needs to be reported back. If I'm paying for it, then I expect you to be playing by the rules. If you're paying for it, that's your dime. You do whatever the hell you want. That's not my problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's not about mom trying to manage her son's sobriety or manage her son's experience at IOP. However, if mom is paying for it or footing the bill or somehow, it's coming out of her stuff, then it's like, oh yeah, no, you have every right to say, hey, this is my action. Therefore, I have the right to say, this isn't working for me. So, let's, I'm not comfortable. If I'm going to pay for a service, I expect to get the service. If I'm not getting the service, then I'm going to call the person that's supposed to be giving me the service. And if they're not going to do it, then I'm probably going to call all the way up the ladder and probably call the probation officer and say, hey, I'm the one who's paying for this IOP program. He's flunking the test. I want to know what the hell's going on here. Because that sounds like kind of a shady program to me. But
well, tell mom, find the voice. If you're relying on the IOP or the courts or something, like if you got something to say, like draw draw a line in the sand. Like if you don't want him using, or there's unwillingness, hold those boundaries and ask him to leave if he's living in your house. So don't let others tell the kid, well, something that you really should be telling the kid yourself would be.
Exactly.
And I don't know the situation, but this is 2 weeks in a row. And I want to say, I didn't have time to look back, but I want to say like this is maybe the same type of question, but I'm a licensed therapist and curious to hear suggestions on helping clients newly sober first year or so on guilt and shame around things done in addiction. The big thing, and this was a long paragraph, I mean, really, which I related to in early recovery, I mean, the overthinking and the battling of kind of just these internal dialogues and stuff like that. I understand from a clinical perspective how someone could be sitting down and just be mumble jumble of all kinds of thoughts. So it's an interesting insight.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally get this as a therapist. What I would say is one of the reasons why we insist so heavily that people that get sober work the steps and go after that 12-step way of life is because it directly addresses the guilt and shame. If I am, let's do a quick run through, really quick run through. One, if I admit that I'm powerless over alcohol, I understand. If I truly work my way through the steps, I understand that I'm powerless. It's once I start drinking or doing drugs, I lose all control. It's not, I wake up and think, today is the day I'm going to ruin my life. Today's the day I'm going to go out there and destroy my family. It's that I have an addiction to something that is killing me, and yet I can't stop myself. And we can spend a lot of time talking about the phenomenon of craving, the mental obsession, and the spiritual malady. But, if someone is really working the steps and really understanding it, they get this grasp and understanding like, oh, crap. Okay, I get it. It's not a shame-based thing. It's like, wow, this is something that's inside my body that I have no control over, and then, then I come to believe that a power greater than me is going to restore me to sanity, and it's like, oh, wow, there's a way out, so again, that defeats the shame and the guilt. And then when I write my inventory and I share my inventory and I make amends, those steps are all designed to defeat the shame and the guilt. But if you wallow in them and don't progress through them, yeah, they'll kill you. They'll eat you alive because you're not progressing through them. So a good sponsor is going to put their foot politely in your rear end and say, let's go. Chop, chop. We're not going to sit here and dilly-dally. I want to see some rock and roll here, because there's nothing like the power of making amends. Nothing. I have experienced nothing in my life like the power of making amends. Taking things to someone and saying, I wronged you. One. So let's talk about making amends real quick for this therapist. This is critical. One, it's 4 parts to making amends. Simple and straightforward. One, here's the harm that I caused. Please tell me how it affected you. 2, have I left anything out? I hate that part because there always is something I left out. So here's the harm I caused. Please tell me how it affected you. Have I left anything out? How can I make it right? That's it. That's the 4 parts of making amends. I only talk in the first part. And I don't sit there and be like, well, let me tell you. It's just, hey, man, I stole from you. And here's how much I stole. And this is what I did. Please tell me how it affected you. And I've had people tell me, yo, you screwed me, pal. And that really put me in a bad situation. Okay. What did I leave out? Well, da-da-da-da-da-da. Crap. Forgot about that. Okay. How can I make it right? Want my money back. Okay. Or XYZ, and when I
got a lot of I want my money back.
And when I made that final payment and I cleaned up that mess, I could walk tall. No more shame, no more guilt. I can walk down the street today and there's nobody I have to avoid. There's nobody I have to hide from, That's how we defeat guilt and shame. So, long answer, short question.
Wow, he's on a tear this morning. Maybe we should move everything to Tuesday nights. Amends would my simple point that I've heard long. I mean, when I first got men's and apology are not the same thing.
Boom.
We adopted two sons, not brothers. They were 2 and 3 when we adopted them. One son has been married for 2 years and 2 lovely kids. The other has struggled with addiction for years. Anything we did wrong?
Nope. Not at all.
Exactly.
I would love to blame you, and I would love to make it that simple. And I understand where you're coming from. That's just not how it works. I mean, my parents had 2 natural children, and one of them, has a master's degree and is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and is about to celebrate 32 years sober. And went to college for 12 years and has been married twice. And the other one is so weird. This girl is so bizarre. She went to one college and graduated like in 4 years, been married to one person. What? Where's the fun in that?
Which one are you? I can't tell.
I don't know. And my sister is not a drug addict or an alcoholic, and we came from the same family, and we grew up in the rooms next door to each other, and it's just how it is. I mean, we talked about this a couple of times recently that we watched Dr. Kevin McCauley talk about, is it nature? Is it nurture? Is it trauma? And he's like, yes, yes, and yes. And they're like, how do you predict it? Oh, and that's not that we're not here for that.
Yeah.
We're here for, this is the deal. How do we fix it? Oh, that I can help you with. You did nothing wrong. And you did the best you could with what you had. You were probably awesome parents. And, just one of them walked down this path and one of them walked down that path. And here we are. So, love them both, support them both, and give them good boundaries. And we'll see what happens. You
hear that, Mom? See, you didn't, my mom still thinks she did a bad job, but you know what? I turned out all right. I'm just saying, she had three sons, one little questionable, 2 other very highly successful. Little questionable is raising the bar each and every day, though. I'm just saying, I'm getting better, Mom.
There's still hope, there's still hope.
There is hope. Why do you think I do a weekly show with a clinician? I mean, I know that there's some weaknesses. I mean, you think this is all about, answering questions. To me, it's therapy. Anyway, this is last and final one. This is right up your alley. I'm just going to read the question. I'm not going to say anything because this is right up your alley.
Okay.
All right, here we go. My state is voting on legalizing recreational marijuana this week. I lead a parents group at my church, and we really feel as if this is going to create a lot of issues. It is. I'll just say that. Any way to get ahead of the storm.
I don't know how you can say that, Jay. It's been such a success in every state that it's been done at.
I said I was going to read the question and then shut up, but I can't do that even. But this is all you.
All right. Here's the deal. So having been in Colorado when this was done, and I would tell you that if you really want to get organized, you need to talk to our friend Ben Court, and we can give you his name and number, and he'll be happy to spend as much time and effort as you need on this situation. Hopefully your state will have learned the lessons from the states that have gone ahead of them. And not just made it a free-for-all like they did in Colorado, where it was like, so what happened in Colorado is they did it by referendum. They didn't do it by they didn't have a plan. They were like, what we ought to do? We ought to legalize weed. And they were like, yeah. And they voted on it, and they said, now you got 90 days to figure it out, literally 90 days to figure it out. And they were like, okay. They didn't have a plan. Most other states are like, okay, if we legalize it, you have a certain amount of time and infrastructure and blah, 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 blah. And they still screwed it all up. I want to be clear. I think that decriminalizing marijuana is a good idea. I don't think there should be people being busted for dime bags of pot. I don't think anybody should be in jail or prison for nonviolent drug offenses. I think that's stupid. And I think that there's lots of long-term ramifications for legalizing marijuana that nobody thought of. One of the things that happened in Colorado is that the cartels were like, oh, okay, weed's no longer on the table. Sweet, we'll be happy to start dealing much more oxyfentanyl, weed, and coke, because it's much more profitable anyway. So, what can you do? I would definitely get ahead of the game with your state legislature, and let's be clear about this. Let's be super clear about this. Educating your children on the horrors of drug abuse is a colossal waste of time. People that are going to use drugs are going to use drugs. Jay and I both went to all the same classes, watched all the same Reefer Madness videos, went to all the DARE programs, and all it did was pique our curiosity. Okay, let's just be
I wasn't part of DARE. I mean, come on now.
Dude, DARE was started in Los Angeles, and it was a colossal failure. It was just Jesus Christ. So the idea that that's going to do something, for society, that's a political pat on the back. What I would do is I would get my book, and I would say, hey, what we're going to start doing is explaining to our kids, you know what? We love you and we're going to trust you. But if we get a sense that something's going fishy, we're going to start drug testing you. And if we get any idea that something's going on that we're not happy with, we're gonna just start drug testing you. And if we drug test you and you come up positive, there's going to be consequences, and you're going to feel the wrath. And this is just how it's going to go. And we're not going to turn this into a shame-based, angry thing. It's just going to be black and white. Here's what's up, and that's really the best thing you can do. It's not about sitting down and talking to your kids and doing the old-fashioned, what happens when you smoke marijuana, don't you? That just don't. The whole scare tactic stuff just doesn't work. You can have a conversation with them, and you can try and show them the studies that it lowers their IQ, increases their incidence of schizophrenia, and lowers their cognitive abilities. But they're 14, 15, and 16 years old. They could care less, and the people that are going to get addicted are going to get addicted because it's a genetic predisposition, and there's all sorts of other stuff going on. So, it's not like something parents always are like, well, what can we do to prevent our kids from becoming addicts? And I'm like, it's too late. They have a genetic predisposition. So what you can do is just hold them accountable and say, hey, if we start to see certain things happen, if we start to see radical changes in your behavior, changes in your grades, changes in your social groups, changes in your activities, changes in your attitude at home, we're going to just start implementing, drug testing. We're going to start implementing control behaviors. And that's really going to be your best choice. So the other thought is move. I hate to say it, but unfortunately, that's probably going to be your only other option. Because here's the thing, the lobby for marijuana is funded by private equity, rich white private equity guys, and it's just going to keep going state to state to state. It's not because everybody thinks this is a great idea. It's because of money. It's all about money. And that's who's funding this. So don't ever think that that's because the rest of the country is like, this is a great idea. It's because a bunch of really rich people think it's a great idea because they can make a ton of bread. And that's really what it comes down to. So I wish I had a better answer.
It's the new cigarettes. But I have a feeling that this is Oklahoma because I do know Oklahoma is on the ballot this week. So I don't know. Maybe another state, but I do know that a lot of people in Texas are looking up right now this week and to see how it goes. But anyway, so There really isn't anything you can do. You can offer a lot of support though as a parent group. You can start getting Kevin's book. You can start reading up. You can start getting all the information, because I'll just tell you, there's a really good chance if you do it right, your parent group is going to explode here in the next couple of weeks or years, because I mean, it's going to cause issues in Oklahoma. I'll just say this, Oklahoma. I don't know if it is, but they're talking about, oh, it's bringing in 450 million to 500 million of all this. Well, they don't talk about all the other things it's bringing in too, and that's, you can talk to anyone in Colorado, anyone, the ER visits, the edibles. I mean, it's just, reach out to Ben Court too. Reach out to either one of us. Get Kevin's books on the shelves. Get literature, and just get prepared to have a lot more families walking through your doors. That's what I can tell you. You want to get in front of the storm? Get ready for a mad rush. Increase the donut order every time you meet.
Yeah, the thing you got to ask yourself is, when they start telling you about how, oh my God, think of all the great tax revenue, ask yourself this. In every state that has legalized recreational marijuana, how many world-class state-funded rehab programs are there? Inpatient rehab programs are there? And I'll tell you in Colorado how many there are. And it rhymes with Schmiro.
Well, Oklahoma is not really known for treatment, period. So there's all kinds. This is like a gift that's going to keep giving. But anyway, if we don't want to make light, but there's more. I would guess that your attendance will steadily increase as more and more people pick up on this, because it's an issue. And reach out to either one of us. We got people, places, things. We can get resources, all kinds of stuff. We've been through it. Kevin's been through it. Yep. I just sit in Texas and watch Colorado kind of implode, but I know enough people. I hear it. So anyway, well, you definitely bring a different energy on Tuesdays, but I think we'll go back to Mondays next week. But anyway, this has been fun, and people continue sending in the questions. If you're watching a review or a replay of it, send in the questions, reply, DM, whatever. Keep the questions coming. If you're a professional counselor and you're watching this, send a question, because it gets Kevin all giddy. Like, he gets really excited. So anyway, keep the questions coming. We enjoy it. And Kevin, until next week, Monday,
I'll be in Denver.
Oh, God. The world traveler, right in the heart of recreational marijuana. So
I know.
I'll see you.
See you, buddy.